All right, Courtney, we're here. It's time. The Ghost Movie Project is here. Get the fog machines going. Oh, my God, I'm smoking myself out over here. That was a little heavy. The pyro and everything's going off. The budget's still the same from the Witch Movie Project, but
Special effects budget.
that's pretty wild right now, though. Now, look, ghost movies. Are you ready for that, Courtney?
Oh, yeah. I am so ready. So ready to talk about movies. So ready to talk about scary horror movies and also paranormal activity and hauntings and what you need to know about all that.
And you know, me and Courtney are going to break these bad boys down. We're going to actually just dissect these like a possessed frog in a haunted biology lab, right? Like that's what we do here. And these first two movies, we usually compare the movies and we're like, hey, you know, this movie and this movie, they're not that much alike, but these two are.
Mm-hmm.
These
Yeah.
two are very
So much so
alike.
that I watched them back to back and I was like, wait, was that the first one or the second one? Which one was I?
And that's what happened with me when I was trying to think about the movies. I was like, you know what? No, that happened in that movie. Oh, wait, that was the second movie. And now you've got like 8 movies in the Conjuring universe. We said it now, the Conjuring. So
Yeah.
the ones that we're going to look at, though, are the ones that basically it made Catholic exorcisms cool again. Did it not?
They were out of style.
I think they ran out of style over the decades past, you know? But this is the movie right here that brought them back in style. James Wan, he gave us Saw. He gave us Insidious. He gives us most of our nightmares. I'm right about that, right? Like, because this guy really does dream up some scary stuff, man. But this is based off of a true story-ish. The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2 are the 2 movies we were talking about. Man, grab a rosary. You got a rosary around? Anybody?
I have my own version of it. Let's just say that. But don't you feel like that adds to the reason why these are so popular and scary is that it says based on a true story or true story in both of these movies? I mean, that kind of just already gets you like, wait, what? Everyone thinking the Blair Witch Project was real. These were tapes of real people and this is what really happened. That just added the intensity.
It really did. And I got to say this right off of the top about this movie, because this would have been a big deal. This was a big deal. The rating for this movie is an R. Why? There's no nudity. There's no profanity. There's no violence that has a bunch of blood. So no gore, but it's an R. Is that not crazy to really think about that? Think about it. They don't have any profanity. They don't have any of that stuff. Anything that really makes a movie an R-rated movie other than it scares the pants off of you, right?
Just sheer horror. What are you bringing into this movie? And then what are you taking back when you leave? I have a lot to say about that.
And when we say based on the true story, let's talk about Ed and Lorraine Warren, the demonologist or showman, because that's kind of what it was. And if you look at when they were around, you had both sides of the spectrum. You had people who were like, "Oh my gosh, these are demons around," and then you had other people saying, "Oh, wait a minute, they're just preying on people who have a mental illness. They're, educated in this." So
it's a fine line. I mean, there isn't other than what is put out, education-wise, the Catholic Church, but the certification in demonology or even paranormal psychiatric degrees, that's not a thing. I mean, I think that you can be a psychiatrist and then you can study paranormal things. That's definitely a thing. But it's interesting that there's this definite divide in the academic world. And there's a lot of gray area in the actual, is it mental illness or is it something paranormal, right?
Well, I think part of it, too, is they weren't educated. So Ed Warren was a self-taught demonologist, artist, lecturer. Like, he didn't have the education that...
I know. I thought that was amazing. They're going around with lecture halls full of people listening to them talk about this. And I'm thinking to myself, how did they get this gig?
Well,
that was my thought.
I'll tell you how they really did it. And they were masters of self-promotion. I mean, think about it.
You've got to be.
All of their investigations, they wrote books on. They did lectures, movie deals that we're talking about right now. podcasts now talking about them. You know, there's everything out there. They were the best at self-marketing when there wasn't social media. There wasn't the easier outlets to do so. So it was word of mouth, newspaper articles. Back then, there was newspaper articles. The headlines would say, yes, we really do believe in ghosts. You know, I've got a couple other pulled up here. The Warrens, 20th century ghost hunters. And then it gets a little bit off. And then, you know, the people start getting into more fraudulent types of headlines, but it's there. And the fact that they were a lightning rod for, yes, they're telling the truth, or no, they're making all this shit up, was part of their game. That was it. That's why they're so popular now.
Yeah. And I have to say, I respect their self-education and their like, I believe in this. I'm putting it all out there. This is real. Here we go. And because of what I do and because of what I understand in the world of energy and the paranormal and the spiritual, I am a believer. I've seen and experienced things I can't deny. But what I have a hard time with is the title of demonology, because where that started in the 1600s, when King James I wrote the book of demonology and witchcraft, is condemning it, right? So I actually had an opportunity to go to Moon's Rare Books, which is here in Utah. The guy who owns it is a collector of rare books. And I had a private showing where we were asking him, because I was with a group of witchy-like folks like myself. And we were like, what do you have in the realm of witchcraft? Like, what have you got in your collection? Because he was bragging about, I have something for everyone. I have something connected to just about everything. And he reaches behind him and he pulls out a book from the shelf behind him. And it is one of the original King James I book of demonology and witchcraft. It was incredible. I got pictures of it. Damage that belief did. And it basically told everybody that they had to believe in witchcraft. Like, you've got to believe it's real. If you believe in Christ, if you believe in the good, you believe in the Bible, you also have to believe in witchcraft. So basically, it validated witchcraft as a real thing and then also condemned it. And then there were all of these people who just self-proclaimed demonologists and witch hunters who went around accusing and killing people who were, on average, just the average person, like myself. Right?
Maybe it was because they didn't like them for some reason, right? Or maybe they did have above average ability in something and that didn't look
right.
natural.
They were more outspoken, possibly. They were more strong-willed. I'm talking about women. And they were accused of witchcraft. Well, the truth is, witchcraft before all of that was seen and viewed as what wisdom came from their ancestors of medicine and healing practices, which is why I'm proud to call myself a witch, because if that's what it is, that's what I am. And that's what I engage with. So right off the bat, Conjuring 1, I'm like, both I respect these people, the Warrens, and what they do. And I also am like, are they part of the problem? Because right out the gate, they're like, you're being attacked. They tell this family, you have been attacked. You're susceptible to this witch.
Yeah.
Was she a witch? Maybe in reality, the person who was Bathsheba Sherman was someone who lived in the 1812 to 1885, a real person. And truth be told, they've come out to understand that she probably wasn't a witch. She probably was just a woman.
Just living life, doing things, got caught up, got accused, got burnt. Is that what happened to her?
In the actual story, I don't know. But she did have an infant that died.
I'm assuming she did, because
Use of witchcraft in 1973 after she passed. That was something that came back later. The truth is, I think she died of old age. The real Bathsheba Sherman. But there was an infant that was in her care, not her own child, but someone in her care that passed. And so it made her look guilty.
I see. So the movies show a different side of the Warrens than what people actually say the Warrens were. They kind of glorify, they kind of, make them more of a compassionate type. They are there.
Yeah.
But that's not really how things were. But let's talk about the movies and the real life Warrens did investigate Amityville and all these other places. They did 10,000 ghost hunt, where they show up on location. They do this type of thing. But the Conjuring movie is where we get our first, I guess, big picture look at the Warrens. There is another couple Conjuring movies, the Lost Conjuring movie and all that stuff. But this is the first time, and this is what really put them on the map. If not for good, it put them on the map again because they'd already been there before.
Well known. Yeah.
I mean, the opening scene itself, you got Annabelle right out of the gate. Not even a main plot, not even in this movie. She's not even in it. But it sets the tone. And that was another real case that the Warrens investigated was the Annabelle doll. And of course, later on, she gets her own franchise, and those movies are terrifying too. But that scene, you're already like, oh man, this is not your average horror movie. This is I already feel something here, is there something here with me?
And they get to introduce that there are different types of hauntings and entities, right? Because they're explaining the Annabelle doll and they're like, this is not a possession of a doll because this is a entity that has never had a life. So you already get this idea that there's actually a lot of different types of hauntings that can occur. We call them the dark shadows. And I know people listening right now are going to be familiar with this, even if you don't know much about paranormal activity. The dark shadow people, they're the kind of thing where you kind of see them out of the corner of your eye. And at first you're like, oh, did I just see something? And then you look and there's nothing there. So you just go, oh, it was nothing. But they tend to hang around. They tend to come into spaces and they kind of come in and out. There's the entities that have never actually lived a human life. So a lot of times the Catholic Church will call them demons because they were fallen angels. They didn't live in a body and have a lifetime. But I actually bought a series of these that were blessed by a shaman.
Yeah.
I have 4 of them that I purchased at a market, and they told me you put these at all 4 corners of your space. It keeps those shadow people away. They'll stay out of the space.
I love that.
Yeah.
Has it worked?
Yeah, I keep them in my healing room. This room that I do all of my healing and working with clients and stuff. I have them on all 4 corners of this room. And this room is, for lack of a better term, a sacred space. Certain entities are not allowed in it. And it has a different feel. I mean, just for those that can kind of just tell, it's a different feel. But I just love that the beginning of the movie, they introduce that idea so that people can understand, wait, so there's not just ghosts, right? There's other types.
So is a demon and a ghost the same thing? Is a ghost a demon? Is a demon a ghost? Is it always the same?
I think some people use the terms interchangeably, but from my experience, no, they're not the same thing.
Different.
Yeah, I think that there can be ghosts who attach themselves to people. And definitely during Reiki sessions, there's particular Reiki attunements and Reiki, I don't know the right word for it, but experiences that we put our clients through if they have entities attached to them. And those sometimes are people who have lived a life that are existing in the earthly realm. Maybe they haven't moved on, maybe they can't, whatever. And when we go in and out of spaces, we have sometimes the opportunity to attach them to us. And oftentimes it's because of stuff we're struggling with. Our own mental state of mind or our emotional state of mind has attracted them. For example, if somebody was struggling with addiction, they might have an entity attached to them that also in their life struggled with addiction. So they are attaching because they're like, hey, you and me, we're the same. Let me just hang out with you. I think I can help. I think I can help you. And as a Reiki healer, we are trained to allow them the opportunity to move on, saying to them, thank you so much. I realize you're trying to be helpful, but you're not. This isn't helpful. You can move on. And then even allowing them the opportunity to have a white light that they can walk through if they choose to.
Now you talk about stuff attaching itself to people, but we see Ed and Lorraine's what is this room? This layer. I don't know what it is, but it's got all of these possessed. You see Annabelle. It's got all the possessed artifacts. Annabelle, you got the nun painting in the background. There's all kinds of stuff in it that they can make multiple movies off of if they really want to capture
I
the
know.
audience. But
Go to that room.
now, why would a demon, ghost, spirit, whatever you want to call it, why would it attach itself to something like the nun and then be able to come out, or to an Annabelle doll? What's the difference in, and why would it do that instead of a person?
Lorraine kind of explained it a little bit when she talked about the demon. In this case with Annabelle, it's not that it's possessing the doll, but it's using the doll to get to people that it wants to
Mm,
possess. So then they
mm.
kind of go through and they have a little lecture series about what are the stages of possession. I kind of love that because then you kind of get an idea of what's going to happen. So those like types of hauntings are not necessarily a ghost haunting, but a demon in search of someone to attach to, right? And they don't want to attach to a doll. They want to attach to a person.
Now, I got to point this out too. That lecture scene you're mentioning, when they're talking about it, if you look real close, you'll see the real Lorraine Warren in that lecture hall. She's in that scene. That's pretty cool. I love that. Ed's Ed's been gone for a while, I believe, or he's still with us. I don't know. He may be here now because that's
Maybe we never really go.
maybe we don't. Maybe we
Maybe we
don't.
never really go anywhere.
Let's talk about
Right?
the exorcism scene because this is the Perrin family, and Carolyn is the one that's tied to the chair, vomiting blood, screaming Latin,
Ugh.
shot in one take. And that's the genius back to James Wan.
Mhm.
Using that one take, the long takes, to build the dread and suspense. I mean, the shot in the house of the Perrin house, that's etched in horror history forever. That one shot through the house. It's incredible.
Yeah.
If he hadn't have done this exorcism scene like he did, I don't think it's got the same effect. I don't
Yeah,
think
the
it does.
camera work, you can like when it goes upside down following Lorraine through the hallway. I mean, genius. It's just all
Incredible.
part of the
It is. And it, like I said, it just builds that atmosphere, that tone, that setting. It's the entire time from that opening scene to the very end. You've even got, oh my God, the hide and clap game.
game before this.
I don't want to ever hear of it again. I'm not going to play it.
You're
It's
not
not
going
going
to
to
play
happen.
it. Not going to teach that one to
No,
your kids.
no way, man. Because that scene, you're on the edge already. You're like, oh man, what's going to go down here? Once again, and I'm going to keep saying this about this movie. That's that's an iconic jump scare. That jump scare right there will get
Yeah.
anybody watching that movie. I watched it. I've seen the movie multiple times. It gets me every
Mhm.
time. I know it's coming.
I know. I had to go back and rewatch this one the next morning because I realized there were several scenes like that one that I didn't really watch.
Oh,
I had
goodness.
I'd maybe like distracted myself a little too much. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to talk about it, I really do have to see it. I want to see what happened.
Yeah.
So I had to go back in the daylight of morning and go back and fast forward, rewatch a couple of those scenes, which I'm so glad I did. They were so good. Lily Taylor playing Carolyn Parent. She's one of my favorites. And this is going to become a bit of a theme in our ghost movie project. But she was in an episode of X-Files playing a blind woman. She was amazing, kind of like when she was blindfolded and playing the game. And she's following the sound of breathing and clapping and then goes into the closet and there's nothing there. She's amazing.
She did her own stunts for that exorcism scene and was bruised up for weeks after filming it.
I
So
bet.
good for her on that. I mean, I don't know if I can condone wrecking your own body for a scene, but thank you, Lily
Those
Taylor.
actors and actresses, they do harder work than we realize.
And let's get to them because Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson, amazing. Like if I saw either one of them somewhere on the street, I'd call them Ed and Lorraine. Like I would. I would think that and you know why? It's because Vera, she studied real life interviews of Lorraine. She wanted to get the cadence,
Mm,
the spiritual sensitivity. She wanted to get all of it right. She even
yeah.
went to Lorraine's house. Like that's cool.
Because Lorraine is the one with the medium and psychic gifts, right? She's
Clairvoyant.
that part of the duo that her and her husband create. He one of my favorite parts about her performance is that it's not she somehow did it in a way that's not at all cheesy. Because it's easy to be, I think when you're playing the part of a psychic or a medium, it's hard not to be like,
Yeah.
I see this. Oh, I'm having a vision. She played it so well, so underplayed that it's believable. And there's at no point are you like this
Yeah.
faker who says she sees this or she sees that or whatever. She's very matter of fact when she tells the family, there is a dark entity with you. I saw it when I walked in. I saw it attached to you. I saw it attached to your children. There's this level of authority on the subject that is undoubtable. So, like, she's just talking about it as if it's fact. This just is what it is. And I think that plays to her performance.
It does. That's a great point. She makes it undoubtable. You see what I'm saying? Like, nowhere in your mind as an audience member are you like, this is fake. Oh, this is a fraud. Oh, they're putting it on.
You're all in.
You're all in. You're with
Yeah.
it.
You're like, this is what's happening.
What you see is what's happening, and that's what's going on. And Vera nailed it. Vera Farmiga to me is a screen queen.
Mm-hmm.
And
My God. Yeah.
what's even wilder is she's got a little sister, Thaisa Farmiga, who's just as much a screen queen as she is. Now, Thaisa is in The Nun. She's in the Nun series. She's also in American Horror Story, a couple of those seasons. But that's the sister to Vera. And they both are in this Conjuring universe now.
Mm.
I'm a fan of both of them. So
Yeah.
I have to throw that out there.
They've got that almost, I don't know the right word for it, but creepy, but beautiful. Kind of wish I had that.
Yeah, they got
Sometimes I wish
something.
I was creepy and beautiful.
There's some feature. You're right. They're creepy.
I'm just creepy
You're just creepy. Yeah, that's me. I'm just creepy, So
or goofy. Maybe
let's
I'm a
talk
little more
about,
goofy than any of it.
right. Yeah. You talking about me or you?
Me. I was talking about me.
Patrick Wilson crushed it also.
Mm.
He sings, he plays guitar. That's really him doing that. And I guess
Yeah.
Conjuring too. But
Yes.
he is a great actor. And I believe that he embodied Ed Warren
Yes.
perfectly.
So, yeah.
Just the scenes and stuff that he's in, every time he's in it, he's there, but he commandeers it. Like he's like this
Yeah.
force,
He's like a strength, like a rooted strength you can, and I also love the dynamic between Ed and Lorraine, the way he plays it, because it's like relationship goals. That's kind of what I wanted to say. I wanted to be like relationship goals because he absolutely validates her, believes her, stands up for her.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to say that my wife is a fraud, right? He knows she's the real deal and behaves as such, but he also is just gently protective. And also not so much so that he pushes her away or down, like the way that, it'd be like, you're not coming on this case. I won't allow it. He's like, I'm worried about you. I don't know. I feel this, but he also doesn't stop her from coming or take away her autonomy. It's kind of.
I love how both of the movies are the same but opposite because you've got one of them not wanting to go do it and the other one wanting to. So it's like opposite ends.
They play that back and forth for each
They
other.
do. They weave it back and forth between the let's do this, we got to help these people, and the other one saying, I'm kind of wanting to take a break. Like they talk them into it. They talk each other into it. You see that support system between both of them. But I loved Patrick Wilson's performance. It stands out in a way that's not overly, he didn't overact. It's same with Vera, like same thing you said her.
Yeah.
They're believable.
Yeah. Subtle, because it is easy, especially in horror movies. I think it's too easy to overacting and to be, it kind of goes into a cheesy vibe, right? It's easy to do that in horror because I think it's hard to be authentically like scared. Otherwise, you're just constantly like, instead of like, this is how it would really be.
I think that horror movies, scary movies are the easiest ones to overact in.
Yeah.
Because you're right, you can get too fake. You can get too far outside of reality, I guess. Now, some movies,
Mhm.
it's done on purpose, and we get it. We know, we see that. You can't do that in this movie, or it makes it one of those movies where it's
Yeah, then it's like,
laughable. Yeah,
you can write
it's
it off.
laughable. Like, the scare scenes are laughable. This is not it.
And
Neither one of these movies are laughable. Like, every scary scene, the Crooked Man,
Mm. Oof.
that one gets me every time. The Crooked Man sequence to me, and it's something about that, the unnatural movement.
Long body and
Yeah,
yeah, I
the dog
know.
walking. Yeah, that
Something
one
about
gets
that.
me. That was all practical effects. The Crooked Man was all practical effects. I wish I had that poem or whatever he was saying.
There was a crooked man who walked a crooked mile,
Man,
had a crooked smile, something.
something, 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 and
Yeah, I
murder,
kind of
murder, murder.
I
That was it.
recall it. Yeah. Which that's what was funny about it when I saw it is when you first see the toy with the crooked man, I first thing was like, what a creepy image. Why is that a kid's toy? Right. But the use of kids' toys, you notice that Ed and Lorraine room that later we find out that Lorraine had a museum. I think she put those artifacts in a museum. First of all, why keep that in your house? Ew. And second, it's a lot of kids' toys in these cursed objects. Annabelle, the toy from the first Conjuring, which was this creepy little clown that pops up in the
Yeah,
mirror. Yeah, a lot of kids' toys being utilized, which we find later. I don't know if you noticed, if you caught that. This is going to come up later in our ghost movie project, but there was a toy monkey.
there's a monkey in there. There's a monkey in there. I did catch that. And it is a direct reference, by the way. So that's what I'm saying. That museum that they had in their house of all the artifacts, Hollywood can make movies forever off of
Yeah. It's
every
like,
single
we'll
piece
just pull
in it.
another one off that shelf and it's another gold mine right there.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Put your budget in there, $10 million, make 40, call it a day, make another movie. That's what they should do. And I would watch every single one of them. I love these
Yeah.
movies.
With
I've
this,
seen
yeah, this,
all the Annabelle. I've seen all the Nun movies. I've seen all of these Conjuring movies, all 8 of them. Except for the last rites, it just came out.
just
I
came
haven't
out. We're going to go see it in theaters. Well, I want to point out with the toy in the first Conjuring, it has the mirror, right? And she says, this is how you can see Rory. Notice how many times in ghost movies that mirrors play a part in it. And that happens in the second one when she has the vision and she pulls the sheet off of the mirror. The thing is in the mirror, in the reflection behind her, but when she turns around, it's not there. That happens so often, like almost like a mirror, Alice in the Looking Glass. It's like a portal to be able to see things that your normal eye wouldn't be able to see. Kind of gives us that impression, which just makes every time I go into a bathroom and every time I'm getting out of the shower and it's all steamy, makes it even more creepy. And then you're like, what's going to be in the mirror when I look in the mirror?
Yeah.
It's going to be
Or
behind
the,
me.
or the classic medicine cabinet
Yes.
open and close and
And then you
somebody's in the
close
mirror.
it and there it is. Yes.
Now, are you talking about, is this scene that you're mentioning, is this Lorraine's vision where she sees the nun? Or is that later?
The first time, yeah. The
Yeah.
first one where they're in the house. It was the Amityville house, right? And she's doing her vision. She's doing her walk through where she's the killer. She's seeing what they saw and then she ends up in the basement, but there's something there with her. She has
So
a vision.
this is something too I want to point out, because this is when we the first glimpse we get to see that they went to the Amityville horror house. And this is Conjuring 2 we're talking about now, because the actual story of this one is the Enfield poltergeist, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
that's going on over here in
England.
London.
Yeah.
So these are real life things that everybody's heard about. So that makes it even more, to me, realistic, because it is,
Yeah. Yeah. We've all heard of things that really happened there. And, they point out, oh, well, wasn't the Amityville house, didn't it turn out to be a hoax? And that really, things didn't happen there. I've read about this and that's what they say. But there's something to just point out that energy doesn't have to have an event that happened there. The people who created that hoax stirred up energy
Mm.
with the hoax. I mean, it doesn't totally negate that there is potentially haunting at that house, or that there's something.
You know, anybody out there that says that's a fraud or whatever, go spend the night in there.
Yeah, tell me you think it's a fraud.
Yeah, because I'm not stepping my ass ain't getting it in none of them houses. But you know what? Actually, I think we should. I
I
will
would.
spend we should spend the night in a
I would do
haunted
it.
house.
I could do it, but now that I've watched both of these movies back to back, and I'll tell you why in a second. I'm not there. I'm not ready yet,
You're not
but
ready
I'll
yet.
tell you
You gotta prepare. Let's talk about Valak,
there
because that's the
is.
nun.
Yeah, there's ways to protect yourself, but this nun,
This is a real demon. This is a real demon
yeah,
right?
she's taking the shape of a nun. And I have to say, from the first movie, Rory, the maid, and the mother, not Bathsheba, but the mother that was in the story, these were entities or spirits in the house that were not malicious. So you find out in the second one, there's this old man who died in the chair.
Mm.
And we think he's the one who's possessing her. And we think that he's the one that's, haunting. And you find out that it's, again, these aren't like malicious spirits. In some sense, they're trapped because of what happened to them and their energy behind their deaths, and because of the entity holding them there. They're almost like a warning system, if you think about it. The old man, he wasn't pleasant, but he was more like, they won't let me go. They won't let me go. Like pointing at who really is the perpetrator of the evil.
And that's Janet. That's young Janet there. Bill Wilkins' possession. That's the Bill Wilkins, I believe, possession. And that's when she's got this crazy, deep, gravelly voice. And she says, I'm a 72-year-old man. And then later we get to see Patrick Wilson. We get to see Ed and Lorraine sitting there with a priest. And they're playing the tape. And you hear this audio back. And he says, I think he's confused, which is what you're saying. But then we find out the Catholic priest looks at Ed dead in the eyes and says it came from an 11-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they realize, oh, shit, we better, this might need to be checked out. But you're saying like he wasn't necessarily being evil. It was just he was confused.
Yeah. All he knows is he was sitting in that chair, and now his family doesn't visit anymore. He doesn't know quite where he is and what's going on, but there's definitely something keeping him there, and that is potentially using him as a channel to get Lorraine,
Yes.
right? Because Lorraine says, I've seen this demon before, and it's taunting me in the image of something that's sacred to her, which is her faith as the nun.
Yep. And you see Vera's faith. I call her Vera, but you see Lorraine's faith throughout the whole series being tested. The whole reveal, and we don't find out the name of the entity until she solves the puzzle, So that's when we find out Valak is the name, which Valak is a real entity listed in the Lesser Key of Solomon. I know this. I've researched a little bit. In demonology, that is.
Mm-hmm.
Valak is actually like a horned beast of some kind, I think. And that's what they put in. I would love to see The Conjuring 2 with the horned beast, because there were screenings with it, and then they reshot and they did it with the nun instead because they didn't like it. So did people not like it because it was too scary? What was going on? The nun is scary as shit to me, though.
Yeah. Well, again, it's like taking something that's almost blasphemous and taking something that's sacred to certain people and twisting it, warping it so that it's not safe anymore, right? Not a safe or loving or holy image anymore.
What do you know about Valak? Valak.
I know nothing about specific demons, almost nothing. But I do find this interesting. The whole name it to claim it kind of mythology when it comes to Catholicism. I know I've heard that before, where it's like if you can find out the demon's name, we see that in other Exorcist and things like that. Name it, and then you can tame it. You can get rid of it. You can condemn it. condemn it back to hell.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because I wonder, when the Roman Catholic Church was kind of taking over areas of Europe that were pagan originally, there was a lot of Celtic and Nordic and folklore about fairies and the fae folk and the other world, right? And it's fairly well known that you don't tell a fairy your name, because if you tell a fairy your name, they can take you. Like, it's almost permission to take you into their world. And that was, to their people, to their culture, just as terrifying as being pulled into hell. The fae folk were not seen as something cute and pretty like Tinkerbell and the Pixies. They were like, you don't mess with those people. They will not give you back. Like, sometimes they took your babies and they didn't give them back, that kind of thing. And they were the ones who could and had the power to curse your crops and kill your livestock. And you don't mess with them. You respect them, but you don't mess with them. So giving them your name was seen as like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that maybe that translated as the Catholic Church became more powerful. They kind of took that same idea, or folklore is like taking someone's name or knowing their name. I think there's some crossover there. It's interesting.
Now, if you didn't catch it, if you're not eagle-eyed like myself, the name Valak is in Conjuring 2. It's in the background. It's seen 5 or 6 times. It's on the bookshelf behind. It's in there. The name is there. It's placed in there in specific places.
That is due for a rewatch. I can see finding that. That would be
You got to
fun.
watch it again and see if you can see it, because it's there the entire time. We know the name of the demon. You just don't know you know it, but it's there. The whole movie. I don't know if that's also, I mean, yes, it is an Easter egg, but I think it's also acknowledgement of its presence in the movie itself. Like, I think the demon is always there. Valak is always there.
Yeah, which goes to their levels of the process of possession, right? Like, it doesn't just like hit you like that. There's these things. So it's like, it starts out with what looks like a haunting. It starts out that way, but then this happens and then this happens. And a person's mental and emotional and spiritual state has a lot of play in that. So you see both of the Conjuring 1 and the Conjuring 2, those that get possessed or that are susceptible to the hauntings and the possession, they're in turmoil in some sense. I mean, the young girl in the Conjuring 2, she was the one most affected by her dad leaving, right?
Yeah.
She was the one that felt the most longing and was taking it the hardest and was playing around with a Ouija board.
Yeah, and the music box thing too, right? Was it the music box?
She had the little crooked man thing. Yeah.
That music box is a real life artifact at the Warren Occult Museum. People say that when they're around it, they feel like they're being watched. So the Crooked Man too. The Crooked Man was going to have a spinoff movie. Still might be in development somewhere with the same guy that played him here. Going to play him again. That one would probably terrify me.
It is.
Javier Botet. That's who it is. He was in Wreck, Mama, Slender Man, another. That's him. So
something about that, right?
I can't wait. I think the Crooked Man spinoff would be.
Yeah. I will say one criticism I have horror movie wise about that is I only wish that you didn't see so much of him. I feel like horror movies are more terrifying when you get the idea of something or the shadow of it or the not direct sight of it.
Yeah.
I think it's more terrifying, honestly. So they could imply the Crooked Man, they could imply the body shape of him and not show him, and I think it would be more terrifying.
Really?
That's my personal criticism.
You're thinking they could have went with the Jaws route. You barely ever you rarely see it. You rarely see Jaws. The shark.
Right. Or Alfred Hitchcock Psycho, you don't see it exactly. You see a shadow of it. You kind of get the gist of what's going on. But it's almost more terrifying to audiences that they don't actually see it. So I feel like them showing it a little too much was too much, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I can see that. Yeah. Now tell me, I'm pretty much done with these 2 movies. And I know that something got conjured up around you. So are you ready to talk about this?
Okay. All right. Let's get to it. I've been teasing it, but I just have to say, the very first time I ever saw The Exorcist, this happened to me. And I wasn't ready. I didn't know anything about this and I didn't understand what was going on. And so it was just sheer terror. So I feel like sometimes, and I think that it can just be, there is the whole, I watched a horror movie, so I'm having nightmares and I'm scared, right? That's typical. There's some other level, I think, to possession and to entities that leaves you open and susceptible. And I felt like that's what happened when I saw The Exorcist for the first time as a teenager, is I was like, I'm having the kind of nightmares that don't make sense in the way that I just watched a horror movie. It feels like an attack, and it was terrifying. I mean, just like frozen, don't know what to do terror. This time, having learned everything that I've learned, having some experience in this area, and not that I have done a whole lot of work in going into haunted houses and cleansing them and things like that. I'm not as experienced in that. But I will say that I felt an attack. So the night that I watched the second Conjuring 2, and I had watched The Conjuring 1 and The Conjuring 2 back to back, night after night, thought I was just like entertaining myself with some good old fashioned horror movies.
Yeah.
And went to bed that night. And the images that I saw in my mind when I was trying to go to sleep, I wasn't asleep. So it wasn't a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was images attacking me that were nothing from the movie. These weren't things that I saw in the movie, like the nun, right? Which actually, my desire to draw and paint creepy images like that, thought that was interesting that it came up in The Conjuring 2 as he was painting the image, right? And he was like, it wouldn't leave me alone. I needed to paint it. I felt that before I watched this movie. I'm like, I've been drawing and doodling creepy things. I'll share that on my social media so that listeners can listen. The Practically Magic podcast Instagram, I will show the doodles that I've been making. But there were images of creatures, entities, faces that were nothing I've ever seen before. Nothing that would have come from anything else. Unless it's just my own imagination, and that's terrifying in and of itself, that my mind can come up with that creepy shit. So this was attacking. It was coming for me. And while I was trying to go to sleep and I was trying to deal with that, my husband next to me was having nightmares. And I could tell because he was kind of, breathing different. And, and that next morning before I said anything to him about what I was experiencing, I said, were you having nightmares last night? And he was like, oh yeah, all night I was having these like bad dreams. And what was interesting is I could feel that this was an entity. This was like a specific something that was trying to get at me. So doing my own rituals of cleansing and banishing and protecting myself, I know now how to do that. One of the signals I have for myself is I turn on a Himalayan salt lamp next to the bed and I use that as a signal. Like, I am not open for business. I am not open to talking to you. So you can go now. And I turn that light on. Another thing was, I would imagine almost like in Harry Potter when the Bogart comes out as something you're terrified of, but you can use the spell to make it into something ridiculous. I kind of do that where I'm like, okay, now you're wearing a Santa hat. And then I'm like, listen, I'm not here for you right now. I'm not open for conversation. I'm sleeping. I'm trying to go to sleep. You are not welcome here. You can go.
Yeah.
And it was not, I will say it did not go easily or right away, but I kept holding that boundary and holding a strong sense of protection. Things like tourmaline, selenite and clear quartz crystals are really good for that. So I'm just educating people. If you ever have this happen to you, get those things and have them nearby. But yeah, I was fighting off attacks till like 1 a.m. Just no.
Do you know that you're not the only one? Because this has been reported worldwide from this movie. People leaving, thinking they took something with them. I mean, they even had a priest come on both sets and bless the sets because the crew had reported strange occurrences like lights flickering, unexplained noises. So if a movie if a demon can attach itself to stuff, can it attach itself to this movie that we're all watching?
See, I don't know if I believe that that's how it works. I think the way that I think it works is that because watching it puts you in a state of mind or an emotional state to be open to it, that,
Mm,
that the potential or the door is open, shall we say, because you've opened it. And I think Ouija boards, it can be a similar experience. I don't think Ouija boards in and of themselves are evil. I don't think using them is evil, but it opens a door. And
mm,
if you're not ready and you don't know what to do with that, once you've done that, you don't know what you're inviting in, right? So I know us people as humans to be more powerful than we know we are, and that we can shut that door. We can keep that door closed if we know how and we so choose. So I did a lot of self Reiki. I was doing some cleansing work on myself for that night, and the next day I was like, there's clearly something that left myself susceptible to that, and I want to make sure that I don't allow that. So I was like, let's do some work on that. So I would just say, anybody who's seen these movies, they're fun. They are for fun, and being scared is fun. I love horror movies. But if you were going to go to a haunted house, if you're going to watch a movie like this and you're a little bit worried about what that might bring with you, go find yourself a spiritual healer or leader, a priest, if that is your subscribed faith. But a Reiki healer can do that for you as well. So I'm just
yes.
gonna plug for that.
Great advice. I didn't feel good either watching this movie. I felt uneasy. I felt all kinds of things. And I just realized that it was because Taco Bell just brought back the chili cheese burrito and I needed some Pepto. So there was no demons. Yeah.
Beads of sweat.
Oh, yeah. But it made me feel a little bit better after that. So, I'm glad that you threw that advice in there. I got nothing else left to say about the movies or the Warrens. What about you?
Just be careful out there, friends.
Be careful, man. So what have we learned? If your house smells like sulfur, your kids are talking to invisible friends, crucifixes keep flipping upside down, maybe don't wait till the third act to call the Warrens in, right? Because that's what they did in the movie. Conjuring 2, they're not just horror movies. These things right here, to me, was like a love letter to old school horror movie fans. Demonology, the power of faith. We saw all this kind of stuff in there. And I can't wait to see the rest of these movies we get into on the Ghost Movie Project. I will tell you this. I'll leave you with my final thought and words of wisdom. Like you said, be careful out there. I'll go even further and say, if the doll blinks, run. Right?